Jake woke up to the familiar scent of fresh manure and the distant crow of his rooster. Another morning on the farm, until he stepped outside and nearly dropped his coffee. His barn, his fence, and even his cows were covered in neon spray paint. Bold red letters screamed, "Eyesore," across his wooden fence. His barn had cellular junk scrawled in chaotic pink and blue. Even his tractor wasn't spared, defaced with move out and sickly yellow. But the final insult? Bessie, his prized cow, stood in the pasture with HOA rules painted across her side. For a long moment, Jake stood there, blinking, trying to convince himself this was a bad dream. Maybe some drunk teenagers had used his farm as a canvas. But deep down, he already knew the truth. This had Karen written all over it. Karen, Jake's next-door neighbor, had declared herself the unofficial ruler of their community. She wasn't just nosy, she was a full-blown tyrant. If she could personally hand out citations, she'd bankrupt half the town. For months, she had been on a crusade against Jake's farm. She called it an embarrassment, an eyesore, and accused him of lowering property values. She had tried everything: petitions, zoning complaints, even fabricated violations. And now, it seemed, she had taken matters into her own hands. Jake stormed over to her house, fist clenched. He didn't even have to knock. Karen was already on her porch, sipping coffee with a smug grin. "Oh, good morning, Jake," she chirped. "Lovely day, isn't it? You want to tell me why my farm looks like a graffiti war zone?" Jake growled. Karen gasped, pressing a hand to her chest. "Oh, you mean the much-needed improvements? Honestly, you should be thanking me. That junkyard you call a farm has been an eyesore for too long." Jake's blood pressure skyrocketed. "You vandalized my property." Karen waved him off. "I beautified it. Maybe now you'll take some pride in your surroundings." Jake clenched his fists, his voice dangerously low. "You think you can just spray paint my farm and get away with it?" Karen smirked. "Oh, honey, who's going to stop me? The police?" She sipped her coffee. "I already called them. Told them you'd probably come over here to start trouble." Jake seethed. He could file a complaint, but she was too good at playing the victim. This would turn into endless reports, arguments, and wasted time. No, he needed something better, something bigger, something that would make Karen regret ever picking a fight with him. Jake spent the next few hours cleaning up the mess. He scrubbed the fence, repainted the barn, and washed poor Bessie, who looked thoroughly unimpressed with the ordeal. But as he worked, a plan took shape in his mind. He wouldn't retaliate with spray paint. No, that was amateur work. He was going to make a statement. A legal, undeniable, and absolutely humiliating statement. That night, he made some calls. First to a billboard company, then to a printing service. By the time he went to bed, everything was in motion. Karen had made a public spectacle out of his farm. Now, he was going to turn her house into the biggest spectacle the neighborhood had ever seen. A few days later, everything was set. Jake had coordinated with an installation crew to work overnight, ensuring that Karen wouldn't see it coming. By sunrise, her entire house was wrapped in a massive billboard-sized ad. The image? Karen, mid-spray, was caught red-handed on Jake's security camera. The words? "Meet Karen, the neighborhood's self-appointed spray paint artist." The reaction? Priceless. At 7 a.m., the neighborhood erupted. People gasped. Others burst out laughing. Phones snapped pictures. Cars slowed down to get a better look. Then, just as Jake had hoped, a news van rolled up. Inside her house, Karen screamed. Karen stormed outside, her face beet red, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. What is this?" she shrieked. Jake took a sip of his coffee and strolled over. "Morning, Karen. Nice house wrap you got there. Real eye-catching." She spun to face him, trembling with rage. You did this." Jake shrugged. "I don't know what you're talking about. It's just an ad. Paid for, approved, and installed with all the proper permits. Nothing you can do about it." Karen's fists clenched. She turned to the news crew, who were already setting up cameras. "This is defamation. I'm calling the police." Jake smirked. "Good. Maybe they'd like to see the footage of you committing actual vandalism first." Her face drained of color. Karen spent the next 3 days trying to take the billboard down. First, she called the police. They told her the same thing Jake did, completely legal. Then she called the city. Nothing they could do. She even tried climbing a ladder herself to rip it down, but a group of teenagers recorded her struggle. The video went viral. Karen was trapped. By day 4, she vanished inside her house. She couldn't go outside without hearing snickers. Her reputation was in tatters. By week 2, a for sale sign appeared in her yard. Karen was moving. And Jake? He bought her house. For half the price. Jake left the billboard up for a little while longer, just as a warning to any future HOA tyrants. Then, finally, he took it down. And in its place? A simple sign. Welcome to the farm. No Karens allowed.